guys, welcome. Still no jazzy intro yet, but welcome to Weird Mom Podcast. I'm Chelsie. Weird Mom Podcast is a podcast where I talk about things they don't tell you in raising a child, or maybe things they do tell you but don't go into much detail about. What's going on? What's happening? That's supposed to be a Megan Thee Stallion voice. Of course, I'm bad at it, but speaking of what's happening, have y'all tried some new TikTok dances lately? Because I have. And I'm one of those people who just simply should not. Like, anybody who knows me knows I am not the best dancer in the world. I can barely do it if I have counts, but I can if I do have counts. So TikTok is the closest I'll be to being hip and what's happening. But anyways, when stuck at home, I've been doing as people stuck at home would do. And I've been learning these TikTok dances and recording myself. And will I post them? Maybe. If I drink enough. I don't know. If I had a Patreon, these videos would be that premium content you'd pay for each month. I mean, would y'all pay for access to my unlinked TikTok videos? Slide in the Weird Mom Podcast DMs and let me know if y'all would pay money for that. I don't even have a TikTok. I just be doing the videos. What else is happening? Oh, since I'm still obsessively playing Animal Crossing and loving it, I figure, as long as this train is still running, I'm going to give you updates on my island. Just a little bit of a rundown because I feel like I haven't even given you a rundown. My island is called Wado. I couldn't think of a better name. Really, I just thought of the first thing that came to mind, and I said Wado because that's what I call Wade. And we are an island that is flourishing right now. I just got terraforming yesterday, and I've been terraforming it up. I didn't realize it cost so many Nook miles, but anyways, yeah, my island is Wado. Our island fruit is pears. Our island flower is cosmos. And I have the max amount of villagers, which I think is like 10. I don't know. Anyway, my best friend on the island is Sherry, which is a monkey. But I really also love June, who's like, I think she's a bear. Maybe a squirrel. I don't know. I also have some like grouchy or just villagers I probably want to get rid of. They're like, I was trying to make a path today, and Kurt, who's just like koala or this other bear, he just sat down in my way. Like, what are you doing? But anyways, I think I've unlocked pretty much all of the like features you could do in that game where you can manipulate your island. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. So now I'm just trying to beautify it and make it a 5-star island. But looking at these people on YouTube and Reddit, it makes me look like I'm a 3-year-old doing finger paintings. Because these islands that I'm seeing look immaculate. I can't even begin to fathom. I'm just trying to sit here and make a path straight, and they got whole diners and stuff. I didn't even know you could make diners. They're making separate accounts, having houses on their island just to be empty so they can make hotels and little hospitals. Like, it's crazy. Animal Crossing is crazy. People are hiring bouncers because the currency in Animal Crossing is bells. People are paying other players bells to make sure nobody comes on their island whenever they open it up and destroy it. Like, it's a lucrative business. People have held weddings, they've held graduations on islands. Like, this is really the solace in this whole pandemic shelter in place thing. So I love it. I'm going to continue to play it because it relieves anxiety and it's relaxing. It's something I do usually at the end of the day. But sometimes I play during the day. It just depends on how busy I am. Because what I've found is that there are better bugs during the day and prettier bugs, if I must say. But there are better fish at night. That's what I'm thinking. Anyways, I just spent probably an hour and a half on Reddit. They have a subreddit for trading turnips. Or no, selling turnips. So just to explain, turnips is like the stock market in Animal Crossing. So on Sunday, this little weird pig with snot in her nose named Daisy May comes to your island from like 8 to 12 and sells turnips for whatever price that day. And it fluctuates. So it could be a low price, it could be a high price. So you buy however many turnips from her on Sunday. And then throughout the week, you go to Nook's Cranny and ask Timmy and Tommy how much they're buying the turnips for. And they give you a price. It's different prices throughout the day too. So like in the morning, it's one price. In the afternoon to evening, it's a different price. So right now, my Tommy and Timmy, they're not really selling, or they're not really giving me a good price. They're giving me like no more than 110. And I bought my turnips for 110. So on Reddit, there's a subreddit for turnip selling. And these people have astronomical, to me, prices that Timmy and Tommy are selling, or asking, whatever. I don't know. I'm getting confused. They are accepting turnips for however much. So their numbers are like the 500s, 600s. So I spent an hour and a half on that subreddit trying to get people to let me come to their island so I could sell my turnips for a high price. And finally somebody got back to me. So I had 50 turnips and somebody got back to me and her, Timmy and Tommy were accepting whatever. I'm getting confused. I sold mine for 333 bells a piece. So I got like $15,000, 15,000 bells, 16,000 bells. But on top of that, I gave the girl who let me come to her island, I gave her a $10,000 bell tip to be nice, because that's like etiquette apparently. I'm trying to learn all these etiquettes and things for Animal Crossing. It's crazy. It's a lucrative business in this point. So I'm trying to build my empire so I can start hosting events and stuff and invite people to my island to buy turnips or sell their turnips. So that was completely confusing and something you didn't come to this podcast for. One last thing. On Saturday, I got some devastating news. Actually, it was Friday. The actor who's best known for playing Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter franchise. His name is Rupert Grint. He's having a baby. I know this doesn't really mean a lot to you, but anybody who knows me knows I was obsessed with Ronald Weasley, Rupert Grint, both the character, the actor. Obsessed with him back when I was an adolescent. It was the ginger hair. It was also the accent. And so, even though, like, I have a kid and he's an actor, I'll probably never meet him ever in my life. Him having a baby just kind of, like, my heart sank a little bit. It's like my childhood crush is having a baby. Oh, my God. I mean, I'm happy for him. And the person he's having a baby with is the girl. Her name is Georgia Groom. I don't want to say the girl, but she played Georgia, character Georgia, in a movie called Angus Stunts and Perfect Snogging, which is like a British little like high school film that I also liked back in the day. But anyways, they're having a baby. I'm happy for them, even though crushes 13-year-old Chelsea's heart, but it's cool. Everybody has to grow up, I guess. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. So enough about me. I think I've talked way too long about me. Almost 10 minutes. Let's talk about my kid. So what's going on with Wade this week? Wade has been obsessed with movie production theme songs and like TV production theme songs. So, 20th Century Fox and Universal Pictures, their little theme songs, like 20th Century Fox. Dun, 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 dun. He will sit on YouTube for 20 minutes straight looking at different versions of the 20th Century Fox logo. Who does that? And I think it's so funny, and I think it's crazy, and I have an obsessive personality, so I see where he gets it from. It's probably from me. But I think it's so funny. Like, it's that Universal Pictures. It's the Nickelodeon jingle. Nick, 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 Nickelodeon. And it's so crazy because, like, whenever, like, I'm trying to teach him how to wash his hands, so the song that I sing to get him to wash his hands is to the tune of the Nickelodeon jingle. And so that kind of motivates him to do it. And also a good countdown because he loves numbers and letters. So that's what Wade's up to this week. We also had a little Easter egg hunt on Sunday for Easter. And this was the first year he was conscious enough to understand and actually look for the eggs and be excited about them. It was pretty bootleg because I had no candy to put in them. But at the same time, my kid doesn't eat candy, so it really didn't bother him that much. So instead, I put little magnetic letters in there that he already had, and he was just as excited because he loves letters. And that's about it. Like, in general, he just has been saying and doing more, speaking more clearly. Still has some times where I'm like, I don't know what you just said. But like I said, 90% of the time I can understand him just fine. And he is a competitive soul. He plays games on the phone a lot, and he gets really mad when he loses. So I feel like I'm going to have some talks with him whenever he starts getting into sports later on. But we'll see. But that's enough for the introduction. Let's move on to the main topic. But first, let's take a break. Welcome back. Today I thought I'd jump to some humble beginnings in this weird mom journey, and that's pregnancy. And I hope to make this a recurring kind of episode, but this is where I, or my future guests, hint, hint, will talk about pregnancy. How it went, what was good, what was bad, what was strange. I feel like a lot of fear in having kids isn't the raising of the kids, but the process of growing the kids and then the birthing of the kids. And I'm one of those people where I do tons of research so I can unlock as much knowledge as possible about a subject because I hate the unknown. Luckily, I've been doing research about pregnancy for a long time because it's so fascinating to me. And so I unlocked a lot of knowledge about it. But this will be talking about pregnancy, my experience, and my journey. I'm by no means an expert, a medical expert at all. This is purely just me stating my opinions and my truths. So let's jump into my personal experience with it. I decided not to break it down into a chronological thing because I figured that'd be so boring and linear. So I wanted to just break it down into topics. So stuff I'm going to be talking about is like cravings and symptoms, how the body changes, how the mind changes, maybe like doctor's appointments, and then last days before birth, and then the birthing day. So let's get into it. Let's start with symptoms. So let me preface this whole thing by saying I had a pretty easy pregnancy, and I always thought growing up, or like whenever I knew I wanted to be a mom, that I would have this horrible experience with pregnancy because I just figured, dims the brakes, and that's probably what's going to happen to me. So I thought I'd be throwing up every day because I hate throwing up, so that's just my luck. I thought I'd be like on bed rest at the end, like just everything horrible, imagine like shy of like the worst of the worst. But I mean, I think that's just me looking at things like worst case scenario. So I'd feel better if it didn't go that way. But that's besides the point. So as far as symptoms go, I didn't really start getting symptoms let me rephrase that. I started getting symptoms a few days after I found out I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant when I was 4 weeks. So I found out pretty early because we were in that stage where it was like we weren't trying to have a baby, but we weren't preventing having a baby, and I knew that it was coming, so I was kind of looking out for a missed period, and so I did miss my period, and so I took the test a week later after the said period was supposed to come, and it turned out I was pregnant. And then a few days later, I started feeling so tired, and my appetite changed. I didn't like the same foods anymore. Like, it was so quick. And it was also kind of depressing because I love eating food. Like, that is my joy. I love food. I love making food. I love eating food. I love talking about food. Food is fascinating. And when I couldn't eat some of my favorite things because they tasted different, it was sad. It was like, at the beginning, I wanted Chipotle. And I went to get Chipotle. And it didn't taste like Chipotle. It tasted different. And I can't explain what that different is. But it was just a different taste. And it turned me off to Chipotle for a while. Towards the middle of my pregnancy, I got that appetite for Chipotle back. But there was a lot of other things where I was just like, nope, I don't want it. And I was so picky, which explains a lot because my kid is so picky. And so that was a symptom that's changed, like taste buds, so tired all the time, tired. I did have nausea in the first trimester, but it wasn't enough to make me throw up. I actually only threw up once during my whole pregnancy. And that was in the third trimester, towards the end. I got in a sausage McGriddle from McDonald's on my way to work. And Wade was like, no. And I immediately felt bad as soon as I got to work. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to throw up. No. So I'm dumb. This is like a story, but I'm dumb. Like, I worked at a community college. And so we had different buildings all around campus. I worked in one building, and it was one of the older buildings, so it wasn't as up to date as like the building next to us. And the building next to us had better, cleaner bathrooms. And so when I felt like I really had to throw up, instead of going to the bathroom that was like right there, like closer to my office, I went past that bathroom, past another bathroom, into the bathroom in the building right next to it, because it was right at the door as soon as you walked in. And I didn't make it. Like, I threw up right outside the bathroom door, and I tried to clean it up as best as I could, and had to mosey on with my day. So embarrassed. But yeah, that was the only time I threw up, and it was so embarrassing. It wasn't as embarrassing as when I threw up red Gatorade all over my 7th grade history class, but it was up there. It was very much up there. So yes, not a lot of like throwing up, but some nausea at the beginning. Also, I would get these weird, it would feel like lightning jolts in my hip joint area. I don't even know what to call it, but it would just like make my leg collapse a little bit, and it was scary. Like, sometimes I felt like I was gonna fall down, and I don't know what it's called. I'm sure there's a formal name, and I think I heard the formal name. I just don't remember it, but it was scary, man. Like, I would just be walking, all of a sudden, and then I just feel my leg kind of like get weak, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to fall. And that was one thing. Also, just my back hurt a lot. Oh, I had a lot of heartburn. And they say when you have a lot of heartburn, that means your kid has a lot of hair. My kid had a lot of hair, so I'm thinking they're right. I had tons of heartburn to where towards the end, I had to sleep almost sitting up. Like, it was bad because whenever I would lay down, I would just feel the acid just come up my esophagus and try to make its way. And it was to the point where I knew, like, I couldn't eat certain foods after a certain time because it would really affect me. My OBGYN said I could take Tums. Maybe other people's are different, because I've heard other people say my doctor told me not to take Tums. But mine said I could, so I did, and it worked. So It worked for the most part. I still had to kind of sleep standing up, but whatever. Like I said, I had a pretty easy pregnancy as far as symptoms go. I didn't really have a lot of big major troubles, so I guess that's good. Let's talk about cravings. That's a popular thing that people talk about. I didn't have any weird, like, unconventional cravings. Like, I didn't crave soap. I know that there are some pregnant women that crave soap. That was not me. That was not them. But I was super into hot dogs. Chili dogs mostly, but also barbecue hot dogs. I would tear those hot dogs up. And I was super into tacos. I think that's where my love of tacos came from. It just kind of stuck around because I love tacos now. But there was one point where I was eating, what was it, like 2 crunchy tacos? No, it was 1 because I still had some limits. I would eat 1 crunchy taco and a super burrito and some sweet tea from Taco Casa. There was 1 week I ate that for 4 days in a row. And my friend at work was like, on Friday, she was like, maybe, you should try a vegetable. So I think that day I went to Panera Bread. But that was just, I don't know. I didn't have weird cravings either, but I did have, like, intense cravings that I ate a lot of, if that makes sense. So, like, I know my mom, she loved Wendy's when she was pregnant with my sister, so that was fun for me because I got to eat Wendy's a lot. And as a kid, eating fast food, that's a treat. So, yeah, that was my cravings. Nothing too special. And like I said, going back to the cravings thing, my appetite was trash. So, it was just good that I was eating. Because there were times where I just didn't want to eat. But I knew I had to because this child would revolt and say, yo, get this food. But I know that they say that the baby gets everything it needs. It's just really you're feeding yourself. So he was definitely taking all of my nutrients. Next, I want to talk about the body. A lot of women, they fear pregnancy because they fear how it will affect their body. And I'm here to say, yes, it affects your body. Things happen that, for me at least, don't ever go back to being the same. So, like, I feel like I have a permanent pouch on my stomach. I have stretch marks on my stomach. I have what feels like a permanent outie. It's not like a major outie. I'm looking at it right now. Like, when I sit down, it's an innie. But when I get up, it starts to be an outie. That never happened before. And you just get wider. That's it. Like, it can't be helped. Of course, your boobs sag a little or a lot. Depends on the person. Mine have always been that way, so it really wasn't much of a difference for me. And that might be TMI, but we're all friends here. And then the mind. So I know, let's talk about the mind, what your mind is feeling or what your mind is going through during this time. So I know a lot of women out there usually go through like the mood swings and like one minute you're happy, the next minute you're bawling. Like I said, I didn't really have a lot of that. I was mostly happy, and I think that just comes from the excitement and the joys and the fact that my pregnancy was not that hard, and I was just so full of happiness and excitement. And I didn't really get too sad or anything. And I would have like there are moments I can literally count on 3 fingers. The times where I was just like sad, but it really wasn't bad. Like, I was good. I think the emotions came after I had the baby. In fact, I know the emotions came after I had the baby because after I had him, I would just look at him and start crying. Just like bawling, like, oh my God, I can't believe I made a human. Oh my God, I can't believe he's here. Oh my God. But during the pregnancy, nah, I was good. I think I did have some worry, like, towards the end. And I did like a little Snapchat rant about it because that's what, we were doing back then with Snapchat. And I was just talking about how, like, similar to what I talked about in the first episode, how I'm growing this human and like pretty soon he was going to be out in the world and like I had no way to protect him anymore. And I was feeling worried. But other than that, I was pretty even killed. Now, hopefully when my guests come on the show, they can tell me some wild and crazy things that happened to them while pregnant, because I feel like mine was pretty boring. But that being said, I'm blessed that I had such a easy, successful, healthy pregnancy, because there are a lot of people out there that don't have that. So I'm just here to give you my experiences, and maybe you learned something you didn't know, and I hope you did. Or maybe you're like, Chelsie, like, yo, I know all this. Like, this is basic stuff. And that's cool too, but I'm just here, like, to touch at least one soul. Okay? And so, the days leading up to birth, probably that last couple weeks, because I was pregnant for 10 months. Don't let anybody tell me differently. I was pregnant for 10 months. And he was overdue. So, yeah, those last few weeks were terrible. I felt so big, so uncomfortable. I wanted my body back. I was at the point where I didn't even want to wear pants anymore. I just wear skirts and dresses all the time. Or like a sweatpants, something. Like nothing bad. That's another thing. Let me backtrack it. Can we talk about how I was able to fit pretty much any of my regular clothes? Like, what a miracle that was. I did have my friend, the same friend that said, yo, you should probably eat a vegetable. The same friend that told me that she gave me a lot of her clothes from when she was pregnant, and that really helped a lot. And then when I, wasn't wearing those clothes, I was able to wear my own. I would just like unbutton the jeans and, be okay. And I think that was a blessing, because I didn't have to buy maternity clothes like that. And maybe I look like a fool wearing my own clothes. Maybe I did, but I was for it. If I could fit it, I'm gonna wear it. If I could fit it in my stomach, it didn't feel like a crop top, like I was gonna wear it. Why not? And anyways, back to regular scheduled programming. So yeah, those last days leading up to birth were rough. I was very just tired. All I did was eat and sleep. It was hot because it was the end of August. So just imagine, just me, big ball, just like walking around waiting to drop this child out of my body. I wanted my body back. It felt like he was literally taking it over. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm over it. I want to be able to eat the foods I want to eat. I want to be able to sleep on my stomach. Like, it's just crazy how much, how much the baby really does just take from you. And they get everything they need, like I said, and then you're just left with just feeling uncomfortable. And I was at that point. I remember, like, I had stopped going to work a week before my due date, and I was like, yo, maybe he'll come early, because he was due on the 26th, which was a Friday, and I stopped working the Friday before. And I would every day, like, I would like walk or do something. I went to the mall on my due date, which was so surreal. It's like my due date, and I'm sitting at Red Lobster because he's not there. Me and Robert go to Red Lobster on my due date, and he still doesn't come. And he didn't come the next day either. Like, they were going to induce me that week, which I didn't want at all. But luckily, he came on his own on Monday, August 29th. And my water broke Monday, August 29th at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And when my water broke, it was weird. I'm not gonna lie. Nobody told me that, like, when your water breaks, you just keep gushing liquids. I thought it was just, like, in the movies, they make it seem like, your water breaks and that's it. Like, the water, like, the fluids just come out and you're just, like, that's it. No, like, it continues to gush, like, ever so often. Like, I didn't know what to do on the way to the hospital. So let's talk about that. The birthing day. So that, the night before I gave birth, I went to Popeyes. Which, why would I want that? Chicken already tasted weird to me. Why would I want Popeyes chicken? Nothing against Popeyes chicken, but the Popeyes chicken in my area sucks. So I go there anyway, because I'm like, that's all I want right now. Even though I know it's going to suck, I need to eat, and that sounds decent to me. So I eat that. I go to bed. I wake up suddenly, like my eyes just shoot open at 3 o'clock in the morning. I gotta go pee. Woohoo! And so I go to the bathroom and I use the bathroom. But then when the pee stops, I hear a really, really faint pop. And another friend at work had told me a few weeks prior, like around the time of my work baby shower, that when her water broke, she was in bed and she heard a pop. And I was like, okay, maybe this is what she was talking about. I don't know. I don't feel anything coming out. I get up, and when I go lay back down in bed, I just feel liquid just gushing out. And I thought I peed my pants. That's how much was coming out. I was like, oh man, I peed my pants. That's typical, pregnant women pee themselves. Let me go to the bathroom again. I go, more liquid comes out. I get up. I change my underwear. I go back and lay down. More gushes out. So I'm like, nah, this is probably it. So I call my doctor and I say, yo, my water broke. She's like, okay, come on into the hospital. I wake Robert up. We go to the hospital. I'm letting her family know, our immediate family, yo, don't be alarmed, going to the hospital, water broke. So we get there, and by the time we get all checked in, it's now 3 a.m. So within a span of an hour, this is all happening. And on the way to the hospital, Robert was speeding, but I was like, yo, I'm not in pain. I'm just gushing. Like, I was embarrassed walking into the hospital because, like, my pants were wet, and I didn't know what else to do other than wear those pants. So they get me all checked into my room. Probably like 30 minutes or so later, our family arrives. My room was big, so everybody could be in there. It was a solid 5 people, and then other people came throughout the day. It was pretty rocking in there. So, I'm sitting there waiting. They start me up on all these drugs and stuff. And, I told myself I'm going to go as long as I can without doing an epidural. I just want to experience and see, like, what my pain tolerance is. So I'm going through it, and I started feeling the contractions, and they're not bad. And then they get bad to the point where I can't even take a nap. It just takes your breath away. They just feel like really, really bad period cramps. And my doctor or the nurses would come in and say, like, hey, like, I came into the hospital 2 centimeters dilated at 3 a.m. At 3 p.m., I was 3 centimeters dilated. And so I was like, this is not going to work. And so I asked for an epidural because I'm like, I'm stressed at that point. I'm in pain and I'm stressed. And it's like, I figure if I got an epidural, I can relax and maybe my cervix would open up more. I don't know. I really and truly believe in my heart of hearts that if I were dilating at a faster rate, I would have continued with the natural birth. But I wasn't, so I'm like, let me relax and just get the epidural. Getting the epidural, let's talk about that. Couldn't have come fast enough. So they set me up, and I had to sit on the edge of the table, and they stick this large, long needle, which I don't have a fear of needles. I'm fine with them. But this one was pretty big. They stick it into my spine, and I feel a light jolt in my legs. My legs kind of just like jolt, like they twitch really bad. And then that was it. It wasn't bad. Like, it did burn a little bit when the anesthesia was going in, but it wasn't wasn't bad. It was only for like a second. And so the epidural started to kick in. I was feeling good. I was like, all right, now we're talking. I don't feel no pain. So I should be able to dilate. You know what I'm saying? And so a couple hours later, the nurse comes in and says, hey, you're 4 centimeters dilated. Which was progress. But I'm like, yo, this is taking forever. Like, I've been here all day. I've been here for 12 hours at least. And so they keep checking me. I try to take naps. People come visit. I have a peanut ball between my legs to relax me. Whatever. I don't know what it was for. I forgot. And they just keep checking me. And they're like, yo, you're not dilating. But I feel his head. I feel his hair. I'm like, I want this to be over. So finally the doctor, not my doctor, because my doctor had Mondays off. So it was another doctor. She came in and she was like, yo, we're probably going to have to do a C-section because you're, I forget what you call it. I'm drawing a blank. Basically, the amniotic sac has been open for a long time, like a certain amount of hours, and that invites infection. We don't want that. So I was like, I totally understand. I just want this baby at me. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm ready to meet this baby. And so she's like, okay, well, I'll let them know you want to do the C-section. She leaves the room. And I look at my family. I start crying because I didn't want a C-section. Like, I didn't have a birth plan. But that was just one thing I knew I did not want. Because I didn't want the recovery. I knew the recovery would be trash. And newsflash, it was trash. But at the same time, I had to do what was safe for Wade. And because I didn't want him to get any infections. And like I said, I was hungry, I was tired, and I was ready to get this over with. So they come in, they give me another dose of the epidural, and they shave me down there, at least where they would do the incision. And they give Robert these temporary scrubs, and I just get rolled off to another room that's cold as hell. Like, it was cold in the operation room. I was shivering, and I had tears coming out of my eyes. Not because I was sad or happy or mad, but because it was so cold. And by that time, I'm so lightheaded because, like I said, I had not eaten at all since the Popeyes. I had eaten like some ice chips or something, but that's not gonna hold me over. So they put the little sheet over me because I'm laying down. So they put the sheet over me so I can't see what's going on beneath my neck. Not that I'd want to see that because I think I would pass out. But yeah, so they do that. I don't feel a thing. I feel them like moving around down there, but I don't feel it at all. And then finally, here comes a little baby Wado, and he's crying. And they're like, oh, he has so much hair. And I'm like, no wonder I had so much heartburn. And at that point, I could not see him, but I was like, oh my God, I need to see him. Oh my gosh. And finally, I saw him, and he was the best thing ever. He was so cute. He had chubby cheeks. He had so much hair. He was beautiful. All I wanted to do was hold him. And they put him on me for skin to skin because that's what my hospital believed in. And they took me to a recovery room so I can breastfeed. And I gave birth at like 10 something at night. 10:17 to be exact. And I could not sleep the rest of the night. Mainly because nurses were coming in, but also because I didn't want to stop looking at him. He was just gorgeous. He was just like, I can't even explain it. It was just like new life in my hands, and I was responsible. Like, I was half of the reason why he was here, and it was amazing. And so that's enough of that. I hope you enjoyed this journey into pregnancy. And like I said, I'll have guests on here to share their stories because mine was pretty basic, but I just wanted to kick off this segment with my story. So we're going to take a break because I need a break because I'm not used to talking this much. And we'll be back. Welcome back. This is a part where we kind of wrap things up in a segment I like to call What I'm Into. And this is where I talk about my things that I'm obsessed with because I have an obsessive personality and I love things hard for short periods of time. So, most things, but not all things. Let's get that straight. Anyways, what I've been into lately, aside from Animal Crossing, but I already talked about that, is two things that are related. One is a podcast. One is a podcast about the show that I'm watching. So, the podcast is called Degrassi Every Episode Ever Marathon Podcast. So, this stemmed from me rewatching Degrassi, which is what I've been into lately as well. And I was like, you know what? There's probably a podcast where they recap these episodes and talk about it. And I'd love to hear it. And this was like, I think the first one that popped up. And I love it so far. They bring up some funny points about the show I didn't even notice. And I just really like them. They're funny. And like they have like these segments where they have the most valuable player in the episode. And they talk about how many times they said the word sorry, which was something I noticed whenever I would watch the show back in the day. I was like, wow, they say sorry instead of sorry. And it's just really funny. If you're into Degrassi and you want to hear people talk about it, I will leave information in the description of this podcast. And then next, like I said, I've been rewatching Degrassi since I saw that they put it on Amazon Prime for free, like all the episodes of The Next Generation, not the trash one on Netflix. And I've been watching it from the beginning. Just kind of like, some of the episodes I like really tuned into, but other ones I kind of put on for background noise because I've watched them so many times, I kind of know what happens. But like, I used to love Emma when I first watched the show, but watching it now, I hate her. She's the worst. She is the most annoying character on that show. It goes her, Ashley, and almost Spinner. He, like, sometimes he's annoying and sometimes he's not. But the other two, they're just annoying all of the time. And it's like, come on, guys. Emma is annoying because she, like, yeah, she fights for what she believes in and she speaks her mind. That's awesome. But there are times where she should just not say anything. Just be quiet. Like, you don't have to say what you're thinking at this point. Like, the episode I'm thinking of is whenever her mom was getting married to Mr. Simpson. And her mom had told her she was pregnant. She was thinking about getting an abortion. And Emma went and told Mr. Simpson before her mom could even do it, the day before they got married. And I'm like, yo, that's not your secret to tell. And she was probably gonna tell him after the wedding, like, chill out. And then another episode before that is when her mom first started dating Mr. Simpson, and she was being a stone cold B word, because I don't want to cuss on here. She was like, there was no reason for her to be like that, especially since this wasn't some man she met on Tinder. This was a guy she had grown up with since middle school. So it's not like he just walked in. He's been around. What's the problem? So yeah, she's annoying. Ashley's annoying because she's boring and she has no personality. And Spinner's annoying because he like jumps the gun on a lot of things, but whenever he like recognizes he's wrong, he really backs down. So that's why I say he's kind of annoying. But yeah, I've been watching that, kind of reliving some stuff, getting in the feels, looking at it with my adult brain, and it's a really good show to watch if you're on a nostalgia kick. However, I don't know, like, and I think Degrassi has a lot of good topics, especially since it's for adolescents. I think it brings up a lot of good things to learn if you don't have anywhere else to learn them. And the writing is pretty decent, but the actors mostly are so cheesy. Just bad acting. Just bad acting. I can't believe I thought this was so serious. Like, I have to bring up, because I've been watching the episodes. I'm bringing up the episodes I recently watched, but I have to bring up the episode where Emma and Manny go to this rave. They sneak out and go to this rave as 14-year-olds dressed as 25-year-olds. And they're at this rave that's like basically the club. And it's just like, I can't believe I thought this was remotely weird, real life. Like, wow, this is what teenagers do? Because I was kind of sheltered. I didn't know, what the party spots were. So I thought, maybe that's what teenagers do. I don't know. Yo, looking at it with my adult brain, I was like, my parents would never let me go to anything like that. And why would I want to? It looks horrible in there. I don't know. That's just me. Has anyone else been rewatching Degrassi, or a show that they've watched as a child or a teenager, and you look at it as an adult and you're like, ew, why did I like this? Why did I think this was like primetime television? Let me know. Slide in the Weird Mom Pod DMs. Then I would like to give a positive affirmation, but I don't have one this week. So I didn't find one. So maybe I should make one up. And I'm not going to take the time to make one up. So I'm just going to say stay positive. I know this pandemic and this sheltering in place is really wearing on people. I had a rough time mentally last week a little bit, because I was like, gosh, I'm in this house every day. Or I go to my mom's house, which, like I said, she stays around the corner from me. But yeah, I'm here every day doing the same things. There's no breakup. It's just the same. So I try to do different things. So stay positive, please. And don't go crazy and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go to Six Flags. Because first of all, they're closed. Second of all, no, don't take that chance. Just stay inside, take a walk, do something that makes you happy. I know we're on survival mode right now. So if you got to eat an extra piece of cake, do it. Just don't be reckless. Thank you all for listening to Weird Mom Podcast. As always, you can follow us on our only social media platform, which is Instagram. And you can follow me. I say us all the time like I have partners. Me at Weird Mom Pod. That's Weird Mom POD on Instagram. We also now have a Gmail, and that comes courtesy of me trying to make a Squarespace. And I decided not to make a Squarespace, so I kept the email anyway. And the email is weirdmompodcast@gmail.com. So if you want to email me, that's cool too. New episodes are every Wednesday, and that's about it. You have a great rest of your week. And like I said, stay positive.